The average divorce rate around the world is roughly 90%, with women being at the front of the pack when it comes to filing for divorce. However, a large chunk of these divorces are due to someone cheating, and with men not fulfilling their partners anymore, it's not uncommon to find a woman who cheats on her husband. Today, we look at 21 of the most noticeable signs that a married woman wants to cheat with you. We don't condone becoming a homewrecker, but if the opportunity presents itself, many of you might want to take it, and now's your chance. 2 of these signs are crucial if you're planning a little infidelity. But first, let's look at why women cheat. Why women cheat. You'd be forgiven for thinking that it's only men who cheat. Whilst the majority of cheating cases 2 to 3 decades ago might have been men, especially on business trips or when they're out with friends, the tides have recently turned. It's now women who often make this decision to cheat more often. One of the main reasons women cheat is simply because they're unfulfilled by a man who doesn't know who he is and what he's doing. Yes, you might find the occasional situation where she cheats when he's working hard, but for the majority of cases, it's often a man who's weak and doesn't care for himself and his family. Men become complacent and often take the relationship for granted, which is predominantly the reason for them not doing what they should. Followers of this channel know that a man's job in the relationship is built on 3 key elements. These are providing, protecting, and professing. And whilst professing is the least important, men often fail in the other 2 areas. But many single men are still doing the things they have to do as a man, and this is when married women cheat. If you're one of those hard-working men who constantly provide, these are the signs that married women you might have are likely to cheat. Keep in mind that some of these signs will utterly shock you. Number 1. The time is yours. Let's kick this off with a fairly simple sign, and one that's universally accepted is one that naturally shows that 2 people like each other. This important sign is time. With the world being so busy and everyone around you always in a rush, it's no secret that time is something nobody truly has to waste. But when it comes to a relationship or marriage, time is even more important, and it's becoming hard to have a gap for something else. However, attraction is one of the biggest time killers, and we often find ourselves glued to our phones talking to the person we like, which is a massive waste of this precious time. This is because every person on the planet invests their time in the things they like. One of the first things you're bound to notice if she's willing to cheat is how much time she spends with you. Magically, she'll find time to see you and do things together. Number 2. Shy demeanor. If we don't like someone, we can talk to them with insane confidence. But the moment some form of attraction arises, it becomes almost impossible. It's the fear of rejection that creates a subtle sense of shyness, which might seem like a major personality shift. One of the key signs that she's beginning to like you is when she begins to show these subtle forms of shyness. This is often driven by the fact that fear of rejection has now become a reality. She might still spend time with you, but she'll seem a little shy, hoping that you might feel the same way. Number 3. Compliments flow. In any form of attraction, the physical plays a big part in how people fall in love with one another. Let's face it, having a good personality is wonderful, but someone needs time to get to know you and figure this out for themselves. But physical attraction is easy to go with and takes mere seconds to spot. One way to know if someone's interested in you is by the compliments they give you. Every woman who's married is not afraid to dish out some of these compliments when they truly like someone. If you happen to receive compliments more often, and it seems out of the ordinary, you can be sure she's warming up to you. Number 4. You share interests and hobbies. When 2 people share hobbies and interests, it's the easiest way to know if there's a possibility for attraction. According to numerous psychological reports, humans are more likely to fall in love or like the people who are the most similar to themselves. But the true kicker is that if she doesn't share any hobbies or interests, she gets to know you as a person. Women tend to adopt the interests of the person they like, but this is merely a cover for her trying to continue talking to you or spending time with you. If you have an active lifestyle, meticulously crafting similar hobbies can give you an excuse to spend more time with yourself. Number 5. She's always curious. Have you ever noticed that when you like someone, you're more likely to check out their social media and you have hundreds of questions? Well, this is natural. And we are often intrigued by the people we like, which is why this sudden curiosity often comes on. A woman who likes you is more than likely to be constantly curious about you and will more than likely try to figure out who you are. One of the reasons for this is to compare you to her current partner and to figure out if you're worth it. Always remember that indifference is the opposite of love, and not hate or negative emotions. Number 6, you notice her looking at you. Once again, our eyes are drawn to what we like, and it's often an involuntary activity that people do without noticing they're staring. What you'll notice is that she's looking at you quite often and she wants to stare at you. This is a very prominent sign unless there's something worth staring at that you're wearing or doing. This also leads to the next one. Number 7, more eye contact. Even though she might be shy, she'll still want to continually make eye contact when speaking to you. But this is hard to describe, and it often relies on your gut telling you, why is she looking at me like that? However, eye contact is a universal sign of attraction, and when a married woman holds eye contact for longer than usual to a point where you can feel it, there's definitely something more that's going on. Number 8, insulting and playful jokes. As the tension begins to escalate, it's natural for more tension to be created as attraction can often pry on tension to solidify it. What you'll notice is that she's not afraid of making a couple jokes about you and your appearance. However, all of this is meant to be playful and to tease you. In terms of teasing you, the next one is one of those highly important signs that whenever you notice this, you should go for the move immediately. Well, if you're willing to deal with the troubles of dating a married woman. Number 9. Dirty text messages. Whilst this can also happen in person, it's not as common for it to happen due to women being naturally shy. However, she might be texting you quite frequently, and this can lead to an incredible conversation. These conversations often contain those dirty text messages that are meant to turn you on. Now, whenever a married woman is already willing to cheat via text messages, you've been handed a golden ticket. What happens next is entirely up to you. Number 10. Inside jokes will arise. We have to include this one, even though it's not the most powerful sign of attraction. However, inside jokes are often shared by people who trust one another. Once she trusts you, she's more than likely to share some of these things with you, and her husband can often be the subject of the joke. Inside jokes, by themselves, are not enough to convincingly say that she's willing to cheat, but they often serve as a prelude for some of the more intense signals that are about to follow. Number 11. Suggestive conversations. Since women are naturally passive-aggressive, they will rarely, if ever, directly admit that she's attracted to you. In fact, she'll not even make the first move to suggest a date. However, you might notice that many of these things pop up through suggestions. Yes, these suggestions are aimed to give you a hint to ask her out. Number 12. Complaining about her husband. Many believe that the moment she starts complaining about her partner to someone else, she's already moved on. But this is not always the case. You see, many men are simply kind, and they're willing to become the sad friend who always gives women advice. One of the signs you do need to look out for is when she complains about her husband, but you need to figure out if she's complaining or seeking advice. If she's complaining and doesn't care for your advice, she's subtly signaling to you that she wants out. You can then focus on this if you have a mutual interest in the woman. Number 13. Seeking advice. As part of complaining about her husband, she'll naturally also hint at some advice. You see, many relationships have been saved by guys who women fall in love with out of their marriage, due to the man being a great person. Women understand that this is possible, especially if they fully trust you. She'll eventually turn to you to get some advice, and this will be up to you to follow through on, especially if you truly want to help her. However, there is a caveat. Since the bad boy or Sigma personality type is so attractive, we've seen that if a man is straight up and tells her to divorce, this can often make him even more attractive. Initially, she'll be hesitant, but if you give her time to mull it over in her mind, she'll often realize that you're the one she's more attracted to. Number 14. What if conversations. Eventually, the elephant in the room will need to be addressed, and in the case of a woman who's willing to cheat, this elephant will be the marriage. If you like her, and you're willing to admit it, You will need to talk about what happens next and what it is you need to do to take it to the next level. This is done through what-if conversations, which naturally stimulate the imagination. These what-if conversations are a powerful sign that she's already fantasizing about having you and doing more things together. Number 15. Pushing for dates. Since she is in a marriage and what she's doing is not condoned by the majority of the public, women will be hesitant at first to go on dates. However, a calm man will simply lay out the options, and if she doesn't want to, it's fine. Simply just back off without saying anything. What you'll notice is that eventually the elastic holding the marriage together will snap. It can take a few more arguments or just one big blow-up of a fight for her to make this decision. You just need to be patient. Whilst you might not know anything about the arguments or fights, you'll notice that she begins to push for more dates. These can be lunch dates or even some of the more risky opportunities at night. Number 16. She starts lying to her partner. Now, you might never know whether she's lying to her partner or not, but if things have significantly progressed between the two of you, there is a high probability of this already happening. However, when you spend time together, you'll eventually notice that her husband calls or something happens to create an encounter between them. By listening closely, you should be able to figure out if she's lying to him or not. This is one of the most powerful indicators that she's ready to move on to something new. It's your chance to either make a move or put her in a position to find a solution to this problem. Number 17. No more personal space. Another truly universal sign of attraction is when it comes down to spatial occupation. You see, we're drawn to those we like, very much like a moth is drawn to a flame, and this is often inadvertently done without anyone aside from bystanders noticing. You'll notice that she continually tries to invade your personal space and might even find excuses to be as close to you as possible. Not only is this her seeking protection from the current situation, but with some tension between the two of you, it could very well lead to something more. Perhaps even something sexual. Number 18. Becoming frustrated by the situation. Women by nature are very emotional, and they tend to react quite fiercely when it comes to their own emotional well-being and feelings. Whilst we're building up in the realm of tension, it's quite important to note that this will inevitably lead to some frustration, especially if you delay making a move due to the possible legal repercussions of the situation. She might even play a few push-pull games, trying to leverage you with her husband or vice versa. However, the most important thing to notice is that she'll be quite visibly frustrated by the situation, and she might even voice some of these frustrations to you. Even though she's attracted to you, the ups and downs, which make up her mood swing, are not uncommon. Number 19. Her clothing says it all. Women know that using their bodies is a great way to get a man interested. With men struggling to break free from this massive primal urge, she understands that the way she chooses to dress will have a significant impact on how you perceive her. If you look closely and focus a little on observation, you're bound to notice that she'll dress to impress when around you. In fact, this can also be followed by a couple of cute but somewhat revealing outfits, where she tries to show off some of her natural features that men often deem to be mostly attractive. Keep in mind that this is a ploy to seduce you, and it's one of the most eccentric signs that she's into you. But always take your time to read the situation, to figure out if she likes you or if she's simply looking for some fun. You can make your own decision depending on what you want. We won't judge. Number 20. She's not afraid to touch you. The most powerful sign that you can use to figure out if a woman likes you is when things become more physical. You see, physical touches are the most important. It's often where intimacy and sexual tension start. Initially, she'll not dive into your private parts immediately, but subtle touches are sure to turn both of you on. Once the relationship progresses to these kinds of interactions, the attraction has already been established, and you can be sure that the willingness to engage in something a little more daunting is also on the cards. When touches happen, intimacy will usually follow soon afterward, but there could be a massive roadblock ahead. Number 21. She pulls away. Yep, you might not have expected this, but you always need to be cognizant of the fact that she is a woman and she's willing to cheat on her husband. This means that something will naturally happen, and in most situations, it's a self-destruct button, precipitated by guilt. Now, this doesn't mean she doesn't like you anymore, but she's choosing to back off to avoid any problems popping up. Women tend to avoid problematic situations and have always been choosing the path of least resistance. Dating a married woman is risky, and it's hard to predict what might happen, but eventually you'll have the opportunity to turn her on and move it to the next level. Check out this next video to see how you can make this work in your favor.